Hi everybody. You know, it's Halloween. And so my son went to the mountains yesterday and brought me back half a bushel of apples, and so yesterday I made applesauce and today I'm going to make apple pie. And I thought, if you're anything like me, I grew up with store-bought food. My mother didn't make a lot of things from scratch because she had 7 kids and she was too busy for that. And so as an adult, I wanted to learn how to do things from scratch. So today we're going to make an apple pie, and if you've never made one, don't be scared. It's not that difficult. Okay, I preheated the oven to 425 and we're going to get started. I've already cut up 6 apples. Okay, I've cut up 6 apples, and these are Honeycrisp apples. You can use whatever you have, but Honeycrisp are extra sweet for apple pie. And I also put 2 tablespoons of lemon juice in the apples to keep them from turning brown. So that's got lemon juice in it. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to cut a few calories and still keep a really good apple pie. So here's how we're going to do that. The recipe calls for 3/4 cup of white sugar. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to do a fourth of a cup of white sugar, and we're going to do 1/4 of a cup of artificial sweetener, and I use Stevia. So 1/4 of a cup of stevia. That cuts the calories a little bit there. It also calls for 3/4 cup of brown sugar. I am going to use 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Cutting calories there, but I think you really need the brown sugar for the flavor. It gives it kind of a caramel flavor. If you haven't figured this out yet, if you put a slice of bread in with your brown sugar, it won't get hard. That's a good kitchen tip. Okay. The recipe also calls for 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. So we're going to do that. 1, 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And we're going to stir that up. Since I started using stevia, I realized that it's every bit as sweet as sugar, and in cooking, why not cut a few calories? Okay, it calls for an 1/8 of a teaspoon, which is not much, of nutmeg. So 1/8 of a teaspoon is all we're going to use of that. And we're going to do 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. There we go. And we're going to do 3/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. There we go. And stir all that up. And you could make your own pie crust, but I bought the store-bought deep dish pie crust and also the Pillsbury pie crust to make the top. Saves a little time, and it always turns out good, so I don't think there's a problem with that. Okay, here's my 6 apples. It calls for 6 cups of apples, but that turns out to be about 6 apples. You could use as many as 8 apples for a nice big high pie. Wouldn't hurt. And we're going to add all those ingredients to our apples. I think really the most what am I trying to say? The thing that takes the most time is the peeling the apples. But that's okay, it didn't take that long. All right, well that's all mixed up. You see there's our apples with all the spices in it. Okay. Give me a minute. I put my pie shell in the fridge. Okay, this is my store-bought pie shell, and what I did was I pricked the bottom so that it would let some steam out. And we're gonna add our apples to that. My son goes up to the mountains with his work a lot, so he goes right by an apple orchard. I said, this time, bring me some apples. Okay, so there's our apples. Now, we're going to roll out the top. And I took the Pillsbury thing and I squished it up, made a disc out of it, and put it in the fridge. You don't have to do that. But the reason I did that was because I tried to thaw it in the microwave and it got kind of mushy. So I decided to start over. So here we go. You could use this dough to make a lattice top, but I think that the full top is good enough. If you've watched any of my cooking shows, you know I'm not Martha Stewart. I want to know how to do things from scratch, but don't go crazy. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Bring my pie to me. Put the top over it. Now let's see what we can do here. Okay. All right. Now take your edges that go over the edge and turn them under. Okay. Also, I'm going to cook this on a cookie sheet lined with aluminum foil because it's difficult to do a pie and not have it spill over. So you want easy cleanup and you don't want to mess up your oven. So use aluminum foil. All right, now pardon me. Where's my fork? Now that I've turned everything under, I'm going to go around with the fork and just press down and seal the edges. Okay, now what I've done is I've got one egg white here that I have stirred up to make it frothy. And now I'm going to go around and brush egg white all the way around. I do the edges first. It doesn't really matter, but okay, and then I'm going to do the top. And we're going to sprinkle the top with sugar. And of course, you can, if you want to freeze this for Thanksgiving, these freeze really well, but we're going to eat them. Okay, now take your knife and cut slits in the top. And that's to let the steam out and try to keep it from too much running out. Sprinkle it with sugar. Okay, now you're supposed to bake this for 40 to 50 minutes in a 425-degree oven. So the first 20 minutes you're going to cover your edges so that they don't burn. So what I do is I put it in for 20 minutes with these around the edges. Just lightly, you don't have to press real hard. "20 minutes with this on, and then you take this off and you cook it the last 20 minutes or 25 to 30 minutes with it off. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Let me stick this in the oven. For 20 minutes, and then I've already made one. Let me show you what the end result looks like. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? That's our apple pie from the mountains. Get you some Carb Smart vanilla ice cream or some Ready Whip. Actually, Ready Whip is fewer calories. Take that off. You see, it does drip. Anyway, there's our pie. Isn't that nice? Okay, so I hope you have a great day, and I remember Jesus said, "I am the bread of life." So I hope God blesses you real good, and I'll see you next time. Oh, and check the little arrow down below. You'll get the recipe, and also don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.